Section 1. The unseen breakdown of too much kindness. We're conditioned to believe kindness is unequivocally virtuous, as precious as gold, as uplifting as a sunrise. But what if kindness, untempered by boundaries, slowly erodes your emotional reserves? I've personally witnessed this in friends who, out of compassion, love, or duty, poured so much of themselves into others that they emerged hollowed out, resentful, and questioning their worth. Here's what that imbalance looks like. You cheerfully oblige every request, big or small. But when you need help, real, tangible help, the calls go unanswered. You internalize that disappointment and wonder, am I not worthy? The truth, you're not failing. The problem is the unrealistic expectation baked into unconditional giving. We expect people to match our standards simply because we set them, forgetting others operate by different wiring entirely. Kindness becomes toxic when it's lopsided. The wisdom of Stoic thought, accept things as they are, offers relief here. Learn to differentiate between giving that brings mutual growth and giving that leaves you depleted. Section 2. Comfort zones and unintended enabling. I've seen it in both friendships and families. The more you offer, the more entitlement creeps in. Gradually, you become the informal caretaker of everyone's emotional luggage, and they never unpack. It's subtle. You clean up their mess, finish tasks for them, offer advice when asked, but after a while, they don't even ask. They just assume. This dynamic may appear convenient, but it's mind-numbing for you and stunting for them. In my own life, I had to learn that saying, let's discuss this later, or I'm not available until next week is not selfishness. It's sanity. Section 3. Neglecting self through a tunnel of kindness. There's a dangerous lull in giving until you're thinly stretched, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. When I became a caregiver in a volunteer role, I found myself rescheduling my own therapy, skipping weekends, ignoring my journal. The result, my own emotional issues bubbled unchecked, ultimately breaking through in anger or despair. This is not to say kindness must end, but to thrive, it must coexist with self-care. You cannot water others' gardens when your own soil is infertile. Your passions, dreams, and quiet moments deserve protection, not at the expense of others, but alongside them. Section 4. When kindness is mistaken for weakness, we all want to be liked. There's something deeply wired into the human psyche that seeks validation, acceptance, and connection. Kindness, we're taught, is a bridge to these outcomes. But what happens when that kindness is interpreted not as strength, but as spinelessness? In my early 20s, I worked in a demanding office environment. I was the nice one, always volunteering, always saying yes. What began as a personal ethic of morphed into an unspoken expectation. People skipped protocol, dumped tasks on me, even bypassed deadlines assuming I would sort it out. No one stopped to ask if I could handle the extra load. It wasn't malice, it was habit, and I allowed it. Stoicism teaches us respect is earned not through pleasing, but through personal integrity and boundary setting. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That includes being assertive enough to say no, even when it disrupts others' comfort. Strength isn't measured in how much you carry for others, it's measured by how clearly you define your limits. People won't automatically see your worth. You have to project it through action. Section 5. Becoming a magnet for users. We attract what we tolerate. It's a confronting truth. There's a kind of predator, not always malicious, who senses kindness as a resource. They don't consciously plot your downfall, they just instinctively migrate toward people they can benefit from. This is the friend who only calls when they need a ride, the coworker who never reciprocates your favors, the sibling who drains your energy every conversation but never asks about you. Over time, these relationships pile up like clutter, and they suffocate you. I once helped someone get through a difficult breakup, offering hours of emotional support. But months later, when I went through my own loss, they disappeared. No check-in, no message, not even a polite, "How are you?" That was a turning point. I realized I had confused being available with being valued. The Stoics remind us, value is not defined by the number of people around us, but by the quality of the few we keep close. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." That means disengaging from one-sided relationships, even if it feels uncomfortable. Your time and energy are your currency. Spend it with intention. Section 6, the vibration theory of emotional energy. This idea may sound spiritual, but it holds practical psychological truth. When you're constantly giving, your emotional vibration lowers. You feel depleted, irritable, resentful. And ironically, it's in this weakened state that we attract even more demanding people. When you're radiating strength, joy, and clarity, you're less accessible to manipulators. You become intimidating to users and magnetic to those who respect mutual effort. I remember a period when I was practicing boundaries consistently. I meditated, I journaled, I said no more, and something shifted, not just inside me, but around me. The needy people stopped calling, the genuine ones stayed, and new, inspiring people appeared. That's not magic, it's alignment. You train others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you're constantly surrounded by people who take, ask yourself, what kind of signal am I sending? The most respectful act of kindness might be refusing to give what you don't genuinely want to give. Section 7. The slippery slope to addiction. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Compulsive giving can be a form of addiction. Just like gambling or overeating, excessive kindness can become a crutch, a way to avoid silence, a mask to hide feelings of unworthiness, a distraction from your own unresolved wounds. I've seen people who can't rest unless they're helping. And while noble on the surface, this mindset often stems from a deeper fear. If I'm not useful, I'm not lovable. The danger? When life inevitably asks you to sit with yourself, alone, undistracted, you won't know how. That's when behaviors like drinking, binge watching, or scrolling endlessly start to creep in. Because helping others isn't about virtue anymore, it's about escape. Stoicism calls us to do the hard inner work, to sit with discomfort, to detach from external validation. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. If your kindness comes from a need to control how others see you or to avoid facing yourself, it's no longer kindness, it's compensation, and it will eventually cost you. Section 8, Suspicion and the Paradox of Pure Motives. In a perfect world, kindness would always be met with gratitude, but in a cynical world where manipulation and self-interest are common, your kindness might be met with suspicion. Why are you helping me? What do you want in return? I've experienced this firsthand when doing small acts of generosity, offering mentorship, covering a shift, sending a kind message. Occasionally, instead of appreciation, I'd get confusion, even fear. In truth, most people are not used to sincere, no-strings-attached goodness. They've been burned, so they put everyone in the same category. This isn't a reason to stop being kind, but it is a reason to temper your expectations. Stoic philosophy reminds us, do good for its own sake, not for recognition. We don't control how others interpret our actions, we only control their integrity. If your kindness makes someone uncomfortable, it's not your job to fix their perception. Just stay grounded in your intentions. Eventually, those with eyes to see will. Stoic solutions, 4 practices to protect your generosity. Now let's turn from diagnosis to treatment. How do we maintain our kindness without becoming doormats? The answer lies in discipline, not withdrawal. 1. Listen to emotional signals. Resentment is not weakness, it's a signal. If helping someone leaves you feeling anxious, drained, or bitter, something is off. Instead of pushing those feelings aside, honor them. Ask, am I giving freely, or am I giving out of fear, obligation, or habit? Journal your emotions. Review your week. Where did your energy rise? Where did it crash? Let these clues guide your choices. Emotional awareness is a stoic act. It brings clarity. 2. Say no without guilt. One of the hardest yet most liberating skills you can master is saying no clearly and kindly. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't have to explain. No can be a full sentence. Try this. Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. Firm, respectful, complete. Saying no is not a rejection of others, it's an affirmation of your values. 3. Create sacred time for yourself. Designate non-negotiable time blocks just for you. Whether it's a quiet Saturday morning walk, a journaling session, or an evening without screens, treat it like an appointment with your future self. If someone asks for your time during that period, protect it. You can say, I have something important then, but I'm happy to connect afterward. This isn't indulgence, it's maintenance. And the most effective givers are those who regularly refill their own tanks. 4. Distance from emotional vampires. There are people who thrive on chaos, who drain your light, complain endlessly, and never change. It's not your job to rescue them. Observe patterns. If someone only reaches out when they're in crisis or only talks about themselves, it may be time to step back. Set limits. Decline calls. Reduce time spent. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. You can still wish them well from a distance. Conclusion: choose kindness with consciousness. Kindness is not the enemy. Blind kindness is. The goal is not to become cold or detached. It's to become wise, to be generous without being used, empathetic without self-erasure, loving without dependency. That is what the Stoics teach. Not to suppress your humanity, but to strengthen it with reason, boundaries, and self-awareness. So the next time you feel pressured to say yes, to carry more than your share, to be everyone's solution, pause. Ask yourself, am I being kind or am I avoiding discomfort? Am I giving from wholeness or from emptiness? And remember, the kindest thing you can sometimes do is walk away.